Hey guys, this is Sundown Rider here, and this is going to be my chapter review to Fairy Tale 505 Trump Card. And I know in my intro I took off my hat, and I've got my hat on now, but it's pretty cold over here in England, so yeah, that's the reason why. So let's go straight into the chapter, which I actually really liked. I really liked the chapter today. It was released a couple of days ago, but I didn't want to read it until like last night, so I've got all my notes and everything prepared. So let's go. So the cover page is the main FT, the Fairy Tale members just chilling with each other, and Grey and Natsu looking at each other, looking happy, kind of spitting on their current relationship. So we go straight into the first page where Eileen unleashes her true potential. Or see, this is really weird because it says true potential, but I'm pretty sure they're referring to true power, not true potential, because potential is what she could be rather than what she is, and she's just released her true power. I don't know. Maybe it's nitpicking. Maybe it means the same thing. Maybe it's just me, but it says she releases her true potential, but I think she releases her, it's more correct to say she releases her true power. So she jams her staff into the ground, kind of like waiting for the Red Sea to part, and she casts a magic called Enchant on the Alvarez army, and a form of it called Berserker. Now, as you can probably assume, all the people in the Alvarez army, all the soldiers, they turn into these like berserk versions of themselves. They turn into what looks like the flame people from a manga called Fire Brigade of Flames. Check that out. Check out Fire Brigade of Flames. It's not all that good. It's alright, but it's particularly apt in this situation because these guys, the berserker guys, look a lot like the guys from Fire Brigade of Flames, the flame people from Fire Brigade of Flames. So no joke, that's just as it is. But yeah, just as implied, they go berserk, they get super strength, but they lose their ability to reason. Not that that makes much of a difference considering they're just fighting without reason anyway. They're just all kind of running forward and getting hit. So Urza gets knocked back. Wow. She was meant to be creating a path to Fairy Tale, and she gets knocked back, and Eileen asks the rhetorical question of Mavis, what will you do now? So Urza discovers they're immune to pain, and Fairy Tale are getting kind of wailed on. They're all falling. Urza gets stabbed in the shoulder, and Makarov then asks himself, or just people around him, if this is where they'll make their final stand. So Urza does the typical no, I'll open a path. Her, I'm so strong. Yeah, steroids, all that type of stuff. So she's like, yeah, I'll open a path. Thankfully, Makarov's had enough of her crap and takes up the stance for fairy law. You know the. So he takes up the stance for fairy law, and he affirms that this is his journey's end. Mavis comes up to him, and he's like, "No, it's not. It's not your journey's end." And then revelation. I don't think we actually knew this, but fairy law shaves off your lifespan in proportion to the number of people the spell is cast upon. So if Makarov does it in this situation, where there's an army against Fairy Tale and the other guilds, he's gonna die. So Makarov tells the first he is aware of this situation. He knows it's gonna happen, but not to interrupt him. And this is his grand exit. He doesn't want it to be interrupted. It's just she says she has a plan, and she always seems to have a plan. But so far she hasn't produced shit. She hasn't done anything. She's like, yeah, I've got a plan. I'll just make a giant illusion of myself and increase our morale. But yeah, so far she hasn't done anything. I really dislike Mavis, and I haven't read Fairy Tale Zero, so I don't know enough about her. So it is probably a biased view, but I really don't like Mavis. So she's like, yeah, I've got a plan and all this, and thankfully, once again, Makarov's also had enough of her crap and tells her to shut up, saying, well, he just says enough, but it felt to me like he was saying, shut up, just shut up. And he says he won't see his children damaged any further, his children being Fairy Tale, and he then says to her that she sees them as soldiers. She tries to deny this, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna carry on doing what I'm doing. So just off the record here, I would have loved to have seen, or at least heard, Mavis's plan. She sure gave up easily enough, but if she had a plan, unless she was just like running in like, oh, I have a plan, don't kill yourself, unless she was like just lying so that she could stop him from killing himself, basically. But I would have loved to have heard her plan, just a tiny bit, just give us the brief outline of what her plan was. Because if she had a plan, would they have made it out would all of them have made it out, or would it have just been like a select few? Would some of them had to have stayed behind as some sort of distraction or something? So yeah, that's just off the record. I just want to know what her plan was. What do you guys think it was? So then Makarov starts his speech to Urza about friends, nakama, and bonds, and all that type of stuff. And she continues to scream her dissent. She's starting to cry. Makarov prepares his Kamehameha. He's like, So he's doing his fairy law. Well, he's starting his fairy law off. So we then get a montage of fairy tale members crying, as you do, and beams of light are erupting around Makarov. He claps his hands together, and then we get another montage of fairy tale members. He's just like, and then Makarov, well, he was already preparing his Kamehameha, so he claps his hands. More light explodes from the ground. It is a really, really awesome build-up to his use of fairy lore. This is why I liked this chapter. His fairy lore build-up was really good, even though it was a tiny bit cheesy. So then we get a very simply drawn, but it conveys the message well, double spread, where fairy lore is activated on the battlefield, and the entire battlefield is just bleached. It's just coated in white. So Eileen and August are shocked by the sudden burst of magic. Surely they'll remain unaffected. It would be cool if fairy lore affected them somehow, but because they're so strong and they're Spriggans and all this, I doubt they'll be affected by fairy lore. They seem shocked by it, but they're just going to be like, oh yeah, I didn't get hurt. Yeah, so we then see Grey and Natsu, who seemingly don't give a turd. They're just standing there staring at each other. Their adoptive father's dying. Natsu's already had an adoptive father die, so he should kind of care, but he's kind of lost in himself at the moment. So all the Alvarez soldiers in the next page have fallen. Cue another montage of good guys in shock. Oh look, there's Gildarts as well. Gildarts is just chilling there. And speaking of Gildarts, another off-the-record thing, even if those soldiers had their strength amplified many times with this whole berserker thing, he should have been able to crush them. He should have been able to kill these guys, because even if they've had their strength multiplied, Gildarts should still be many times above them. Gildarts is one of the strongest mages in the whole of Fairy Tail, as in the world, the whole of Magnolia, or whatever you want to call it. So even if they don't feel pain, his magic is crash. His magic literally blows you apart. They shouldn't be able to do anything. So yeah, that's just another thing. Also, Gildarts hasn't been fighting as long as like Urza and the rest of Fairy Tail have been fighting, so he's not as fatigued as they are. So he's like fresh, even though he did fight. Was it God Serena? I think it was God Serena. Even though he did fight him, he shouldn't be anywhere near as fatigued as Urza and the rest of them. So he should be slaying. He should be totally wrecking these guys. But that's another point altogether. But Urza drops her sword after Fairy Tail's activation, Fairy Lord's activation, and starts to weep as we get like an epitaph elegy on the last page with Makarov stood with white out eyes, and he's dead in the stance of Fairy Lore. He seems to be dead in the stance of Fairy Lore. His skin's gone pale. He's just stood there all skinny and stuff. So he's dead. Dead. Is he dead? We don't. You know, we've seen so many times now, especially over the last 2 months, where someone's died in Fairy Tail, only to come back the next chapter. I'm looking at you, Juvia. So I don't. You know, I personally think he is dead, but because of the lack of deaths or the cheating of deaths in this manga, this has blunted the impact of this death, and that's why I think it's real. I think legit this time. Makarov's been dying for a long time. He's used fairy lore like 3 times, 2-3 times I think, while we've been reading this manga before this occasion. So he's surely shaved off his life from that, even though he didn't use it on like millions of people. But this time I think it's for real. I think Makarov is dead, and for me, that really hits home, because overall I really enjoyed this chapter. And looking past the cheesiness of the chapter, I really like Makarov as a character. He was always funny. He was really strong. He was never like as strong as a guild master should be, but he was always like willing to go balls to the wall to do his thing. So I'm actually sad to see him die. Like I'm not going to cry or anything, but I'm sad to see him die, and would have liked to have seen him listen to Mavis's plan, even if it was a crap one. But I think he knew, as well as we all did, that Mavis had Jack and shit as a plan. She was probably just there like, don't kill yourself or a plan, please. But he almost seemed desperate. This is the only issue I had. Makarov seemed almost desperate to go through with Fairy Lore. He kind of seemed like, oh yeah, but Grand Exit, yeah, I'm gonna go die. Woo! So Eileen needs to chill a bit. She seems to be like, she's just really, really got no chill. I mean, imagine playing poker with her. She's annoyed that Mavis has like pulled the wool over her eyes a couple times. Imagine playing poker with Eileen. Jesus. I mean, but the chapter seemed to definitely lift up as soon as Makarov took the fairy law stance, and as soon as he told Mavius to shut up, I was like, this chapter is going to be awesome. I love this chapter already. So overall, I'll be generous. I think it might be a bit of bias. I just really enjoyed the chapter. I don't know what you guys thought about it, but I'll give it a 4 out of 5. The ending was really cool for a character I thoroughly like. I really like as much as Makarov. So yeah, it was a good way to go out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know any theories, any discussions, anything you've got down in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. See you later.